Hi, everyone. My name is Nicole. I'm with Austrek. I'm here today with Stuart Floyd, who is an international regional manager at Bond University, and he's going to talk to us about law.
Fantastic. Thanks, Nicole. Well, welcome, everyone. Whether you're watching this live or on the recording, my name is Stuart and I'm from Bond. I've been with Bond now almost 2 decades. I actually studied my law degree at Bond going back a fefew years now and have been working for the university here in Canada, helping Canadian students come and study with us for over the last decade. So I've definitely been with Canadians and with Bond for a while. So this afternoon, I'm just going to run through some general information about the university and then talk more specifically about our law program. So Bond University is based on the Gold Coast in Australia. The Gold Coast is on the east coast of Australia, and we are in the southeast corner of the state of Queensland. So just south of Brisbane there by about 100 kilometers or so. The Gold Coast itself is a city. It is a beautiful city, which is about 750,000 people. It is Australia's fastest growing city. It's our 6th largest urban centre and has a population, as I said, of about 750,000 or thereabouts. The main industry on the Gold Coast is tourism when borders are open and it's allowed. The second largest industry, though, is education, with 3 world-class institutions, as well as a number of private colleges, top high schools, etc. This means there's a lot of infrastructure and support for international students on the Gold Coast. It also has the cheapest cost of living of any of the major cities in Australia. So it really is a great place and a great destination to come and study. It's also a great place to see all of Australia. So not only do you have the fantastic beaches, but you've also got the wildlife, you've got the hinterland, you've got a great cityscape, and you've got everything that makes Australia, Australia. In terms of Bond University, we were Australia's first and still are the only not-for-profit private institution. So it's like essentially an independent school. However, we are still part of the Australian qualifications framework, which means that we're fully audited and regulated by the Australian government, ensuring that our qualifications are recognised throughout the world. The institution, as I said, has been around since 1989. We're just over 30 years old now. And in that time, we've grown to become a world-class university, ranking in the top 20 best small universities in the world. In terms of our campus, we have 4 main faculties. We have our Faculty of Health Sciences and Medicine, our Bond Business School, ranked in the top 200 in the world, our Faculty of Society and Design, and of course, our Faculty of Law. So why do students choose Bond? Well, there's a number of reasons. The big focus that we have at Bond is on student experience. And student experience doesn't just necessarily mean having a good time. Obviously, we want you to do that as well. But of course, first and foremost is your academic performance. And so our student experience rating comes from the fact that we achieve 5-star ratings in terms of our overall quality of education, our teaching quality, our learner engagement, our learning resources, so the facilities that we provide, and our student support. You can see all of those things there listed on the slide. We've also been rated #1 in Australia for employer satisfaction for a number of years. So it means not only do we focus on your experience while you're at the university, but also then our focus is on what happens after you leave the university. And we'll talk a bit more about that for Canadian students in a little moment. One of the big differentiating factors with Bond is that we teach a standard 3-semester per year academic calendar. And our semesters actually run on the same schedule as Canadian universities. We have semesters that commence in September, in January, and in May. Importantly, we have an intake for our law degrees in every semester, and we have a graduation every semester. What this means is that you can start your program in September, or in January, or in May, and you'll be finished in a standard amount of time. So you're not delaying your studies or anything like that. Typically for a Bachelor of Laws, it is an 8-semester program. So you'll complete that in just 2 years and 8 months. Our Juris Doctor program, which is the graduate entry law school, is only 6 semesters and you'll complete that in just 2 years. So you're making a saving compared to Canadian or other programs, and it means you're back earning money sooner. Bond is a small institution. We're just over 4,000 students in total across all of our programs. What this means is we keep our class sizes small. For law students, that means lectures of somewhere between 50 to 70 students, and then tutorials for each of those subjects that are capped at 12 students, and those are taken by the professor. means you have a lot of opportunity to engage with the learning material, with your professors and your fellow classmates to really get the most out of your experience and access that personalized attention. Bond is also very international. So out of those just over 4,000 students, almost half of them are international students. You can see there also we have over 80 different countries represented on our campus. Canadians are actually at the moment our largest international group. This graph is just slightly out of date thanks to the pandemic. But generally, we keep a really good mix across all of our nationalities. So no one nationality represents more than about 7 to 9% of the overall student population. It means you get a really diverse experience, but there's also a lot of support for international students. You're not just another number. We've got the infrastructure and support there to make sure your experience is the best. So let's talk about the law programs then. We do offer both levels of law school in Australia. We offer the Bachelor of Laws. This is a program for students who don't or will not have a completed bachelor degree before entering law school. That basically means that you can come to Bond and study your Bachelor of Laws straight from high school or with an incomplete post-secondary qualification. This degree is law school, so it contains the 24 law subjects that you require, 17 compulsory law, 7 law electives. But because it is a bachelor degree, it also includes an additional 8 subjects, which are your 5 general elective subjects, as well as 3 university core subjects. We offer a full range of specializations, which you can take as part of the law electives, including Canadian law and practice, corporate and commercial law, media and technology law, and a few others. The Juris Doctor program is the graduate entry law school. So this is the one that's probably most similar to what is offered in Canada. It is a 6-semester program, 24 subjects, and this is purely those 24 law school subjects, the 17 compulsory and the 7 law electives. Those other 8 subjects in the LLB, we assume you've already done those in your bachelor degree that you've completed at home in Canada, and so therefore we don't need to give you any other electives. Essentially, the entry requirement minimum here is either completion or you will have completed a bachelor degree. Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science, can be anything before coming and commencing with us. Again, we offer the same areas of specialization: Canadian law and practice, corporate and commercial law and practice, dispute resolution, and a range of other topics. At Bond, we actually have quite a robust Canadian law program. It's something that we're probably most known for in Canada, and we've been offering now for over 20 years. Both the JD and the LLB have an integrated legal skills and professionalism program. And so the focus in each of your subjects that you take is on a legal skill essential to the practice of law. This means that you don't just get a degree, but you also then get all of the skills that you need to be able to hit the ground running. It's something that's quite unique to Bond and is something that is well respected by employers all over the world. We focus on things like legal research and analysis, letter writing, drafting commercial and court documents, client interviewing, advocacy, and negotiation. And so it means that when you do get into practice and you're starting your first day as a lawyer and a lawyer asks you to draft a letter, you've got experience in that. Or if you're asked to go to court, you know how to make your court appearances as opposed to having to scramble or feel nervous about it. It really does give you an edge, especially when applying for graduate positions. In addition to this, we also offer our Bond Law Clinic program, where it's an experiential learning program supervised by practicing lawyers. We run clinics on campus, usually after hours for the general public, in commercial law, immigration law, and property law, where lawyers from the community will come in and will work with our students in advising the general public. So it's a valuable community service, and it really does give you that opportunity to put your theory that you're learning into practice in the real world in a properly supervised environment. In addition to this, we also offer clinical law electives. So as part of your 7 law electives, you can actually choose to go and work for a semester in a law firm and get that experience. There is an academic component to it as well, but again, you've got that opportunity to put your theory into practice and to network with lawyers. One thing, as I mentioned, that sets Bond apart is our Canadian law program. And a big part of that is that we teach the Canadian law and practice specialization as part of either the LLB or the JD. These subjects help you prepare for the accreditation process when returning to Canada, and prepare you to write those challenge exams. We offer full semester subjects in Foundations of Canadian Law, Canadian Constitutional Law, Canadian Administrative Law, and Canadian Criminal Law and Procedure. The fifth subject that's a requirement back in Canada, which is Canadian Professional Responsibility, is actually offered free to all Canadian students as an additional non-graded subject. And we do this because the material is so similar to the Australian version of the subject that you're already taking as a compulsory subject. We didn't feel it was right to have to charge you to do an additional subject when the material was so the same. What this means, though, is that as part of your Australian law degree, you are learning Canadian law material, which is then preparing you to meet the competency requirements assessed by the NCA when you're returning to Canada wishing to practice. So we're doing a lot there to prepare you for that return to Canada. And at Bond, Canadian students feel very at home. So we have a very active Canadian Law Students Association. We have Canadian social events on campus. We have orientation sessions exclusively for our Canadian students, talking about the services that are available and the community. We have specifically designed study plans for our Canadian students to ensure that you're meeting your requirements and getting access to those Canadian specific subjects. We do a homebound session every semester to help prepare students for the transition back to Canada, applying to the NCA, etc. We do a career guide every year for Canadian law students that's published by our Career Development Centre. And so this also includes access to our dedicated internships in Canada for Canadian students, which you have access to during your studies and after your studies at Bond. We have visiting Canadian law professors and legal practitioners who come in every semester to teach our subjects or to provide guidance and advice to our Canadian students. And we're also the only non-Canadian school to participate in the Wilson Cup Moot competition. So this is a competition for all Canadian law students, Canadian law schools, and Bond in Canadian constitutional law. Bond has actually been exceptionally competitive in this over the last decade, where we've placed third a couple of times, we placed second, and in 2019, we actually won the entire competition, which means Bond students beat Canadian law students at a Canadian law problem. So that kind of shows you the commitment that we have to our Canadian students and what it means in terms of our level of education and preparation for practicing law in Canada. Now, as I mentioned, when you return back to Canada, you will need to apply to the NCA for your certificate of qualification. In general, this process, which I'll talk about in a moment, is required for anybody who studies outside of Canada or doesn't attend a Canadian law school. So we'll talk about that in a moment. The other thing that I do want to talk about now, though, is the application requirements in general to the university. Importantly, our admissions process is very different to that of Canadian universities. There are no application deadlines. You can apply at any time for any upcoming semester. Applications are assessed individually and upon merit. There are no limits or quotas, and entry requirements are the same for all intakes. It is not competitive. Our admissions are based on quality and not demand and supply. So it means that if we deem your application to meet our entry standards and you are a good student, then we'll make you an offer to the program. In general, we're looking for students to have somewhere around a 70% average. And this is for either the Bachelor of Laws, so coming from high school, or for the JD from your undergraduate degree. Essentially, that's a B or B minus average, somewhere on a 2.7 to 2.9 on a 4.0 scale. And you can see the other scales there. Importantly, this is not a cutoff. We do look as well at your grade progression, at the consistency in your grades. We look at all of your grades. So not just the last 2 years, we look at the entire sort of education history that you have. And we make our decision based on whether you'll be a good law student, whether you've demonstrated to us your abilities and your skills. We also request that you submit a resume and a personal statement. Now, as I was talking about the NCA, essentially you are coming back and you're applying for accreditation because you are a foreign educated student. When you apply, they'll assess your education, and essentially they're looking to see that you've met the 4 requirements that a Canadian graduated student would have. Essentially, they want to see that you either have a 4-year equivalent, so 8-semester Bachelor of Laws, or at least a bachelor degree completed before your JD. You'll have that from Bond. You then need a JD or LLB qualification from a common law jurisdiction. Both Bond degrees meet that requirement. You need to have maintained a minimum of 55% in every single one of your courses. That's up to you, but we'll pretend that you're all good students and have done that. And then finally, you need to demonstrate proficiency in the Canadian specific law electives. And so these are the law subjects. The first 4, your Australian degree will give you that proficiency that will be approved by the NCA. Those last 5, however, are the ones that have to be taken in Canada. And that's where you take them as a challenge exam. Bond offers, again, those 5 subjects. And so you take that as your Canadian law and practice specialization, and then you're fully prepared for that NCA exam or those exams. Once you've received your certificate of qualification, you're then able to proceed into articling in the province of your choice and then get your call to the bar. Importantly, studying in Australia, you get those 4 first subjects accredited. Studying in the UK, there is no guarantee you get those subjects. So the Australian law degree is the most similar qualification to a Canadian law degree and is much more readily accepted in Canada than a UK qualification. So it's important that you consider that when looking and doing your research. For anybody online, are there any questions?
We don't have any in the Q&A, but are you going to be in the Bond chat room afterwards, Stuart?
Absolutely. I'm here for the rest of the evening till 9 p.m. EST or 6 p.m. PST. So please jump into the Bond chat room and have a chat with me.
That would be great. Thank you so much, Stuart. Have a great night.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.